right, everybody. It is 8:30 a.m. exactly. We are going to go ahead and call to order the Monday, April 5th, 2021 meeting of the Michigan City Board of Public Works and Safety. Ms. Keating, Mayor Perry, and myself are all present. We do have a quorum. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from three different meetings that we had. First was the regular Zoom meeting of March 15th, 2021. The executive session Zoom meeting of March 26th, 2021, and the special Zoom meeting of March 26th, 2021.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular Zoom meeting of March 15th, the executive session Zoom meeting of March 26th, and the special Zoom meeting of March 26th.
And I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we move on. Next on the agenda, awarding of bids. Miscellaneous street paving project for 2021. We are in receipt of letters from both Jeff Wright, who is present, and Amber LePage, who is present, and they have come to a unanimous decision to award the paving bids to Reith and Riley. Amber, Jeff, do either of you have anything that you'd like to say in regards to the paving bids?
Just that Reith and Riley was the lowest, most responsive bidder in the amount of $928,549.75.
I'll just say that the bids are very favorable compared to what we were estimating. So it's a good.
That's always good. That's always good. Very good. Mayor Perry, Ms. Keating, do either of you have any questions, comments regarding this?
I have none.
No, I have none, Mr. President.
Okay, I am going to go ahead and make a motion that we approve the bids for the amount of $928,549.75 to Reith and Riley.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Okay, next on the agenda, bid received. Indiana Invesco LLC submitted a bid for the purchase of 131 Edward Street in Michigan City. Amber, can you fill us in a little bit on this item?
Sure. So last year, the Board of Works put 131 Edwards up for sale. We received bids on it. The only bid submitted was from Indiana Invesco, and that bid was in the amount of $1,500. Under state statute, what this board did was reject that bid, but gave me the authority to try to negotiate with Indiana Invesco to reach an agreed amount because Indiana Invesco was an abutting landowner. Since that time, I have been in communications with Indiana Invesco, and we have reached what I believe may be a fair amount. They have offered $5,000 for the sale of this parcel. Even discussing with Mr. York this morning, we believe that that would be a reasonable and fair amount of consideration for this property. We originally, we being the city, acquired this property years ago from the county. It was laundry listed on many parcels that we received from the county that the county didn't want. We took this over, and since that time, we've just been maintaining it. I don't believe we have a need for this property, and I think it would serve the community just to get it back on the tax roll and have Indiana Invesco now maintain this property as well. So I would recommend to this board, if the board believes the same, to accept the $5,000 negotiated offer. And I have prepared the transfer documents, specifically the quitclaim deed and the sales disclosure, and authorize the execution of those documents upon receipt of the $5,000 from Indiana Invesco in the form of a certified check or money order.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Keating, Mayor Perry, either of you have comments, questions, concerns?
No, I'm satisfied with what Amber has stated.
I am also, Mr. President.
Okay, that would make three of us. I will go ahead and make a motion to approve the sale of 131 Edward Street in the amount of $5,000 to Indiana Invesco LLC.
I will support that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a support. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. We move on. Approval of supplemental agreement. Supplemental agreement number 1 between the City of Michigan City, Indiana and the Department of the Army Chicago District Corps of Engineers, license number DACW 35-3-16-2002 for construction, operation, and maintenance of pier safety devices along the U.S. East Pier at the Michigan City Harbor, a 5-year term beginning on September 30th, 2021 and ending on September 29th, 2026. I know that this is an item that we initiated the extension. Mayor Perry, can you give us any information regarding this item?
Are you?
I would like to, Mr. President, I'm Ed Shin.
Ed, feel free. Thank you.
Okay, I'm more familiar with it right now. As you know, we had some kids playing on the pier when the waves were crashing, and the news caught this story and contacted me and wondered how Michigan City can allow this behavior. So in order to put an end to it, I commissioned the Purdue North Central engineering students to design a barricade that would be sufficient for this operation to stop people from entering the pier during hazardous conditions. It's very difficult to stop people. As we know, they will walk around a barricade. It's very difficult to have a barricade and not have to worry about liabilities if somebody gets hurt by the use of the barricade. It's a brilliant design. The Purdue students designed it and thought that the most efficient position for this barricade would be on the pier. However, I think that this barricade should be at the entrance of the boardwalk at the first reader board, because number 1, people are going to walk around it if it's on the pier. Number 2, I think the waves will damage it if it's on the pier. And number 3, I think we might be a little bit liable for any injury, even though it's sensed by weather. If anyone gets injured when it's secured to the pier, we as a city would be liable. I think the safest place for this barricade, if it's approved, would be at the entrance ramp at the northwest corner of Lot 1 before anyone enters the boardwalk or the pier. Keep in mind, if anyone is swept off the pier at the lighthouse, Michigan City owns the lighthouse. So Channel 7 News asked me what Michigan City is going to do about this problem. And I think that if we have a barricade arm to prevent people from walking onto the boardwalk, it's the most we can do for Michigan City citizens. Keep in mind also, a week and a half ago, somebody was swept off the pier in St. Joe, Michigan. And I don't think they were saved. So that's the bottom line. If anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Mr. President, if I may.
Yes, Amber,
Okay.
please.
So this agreement is considered an extension of a license agreement, and it may have some bearing at some point in time with what Mr. Shin is discussing about the additional barricades. But the Board of Works originally in 2016 entered into a license agreement, and that was back when Arsenal Middle and I believe the council appropriated money for the life rings and the safety devices. So we had to enter into a license agreement with the Corps of Engineers to put these safety devices on the pier. So what this would be an extension of that 2016 agreement for another 5 years to keep these devices on the pier. Now, it may have a bearing at some point with what Mr. Shin is saying about adding the extra barriers on there, but right now this is just an extension of the original license.
Okay. In terms of the contract, does the city of Michigan City pay any funds currently as a portion of this contract? And I mean, is there any increase in the amount of funds that we will have to be paying to extend this, or?
We don't pay anything for it. It's just the authority to use the property.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That would be my only question. Ms. Keating, Mayor Perry, either of you have any questions, concerns?
No, not concerning this matter.
Okay. Mayor?
None other than that Superintendent Shin and I had a conversation earlier about this, about the exact location. I was looking at something else when Ed was talking, if he covered it. He was concerned about liability to the city. As long as we have no liability for this, then I have no issue with it whatsoever.
Okay. Obviously, individuals. I'm sorry. Was there anybody else?
Yeah, this is Jeff. Is
Hey,
this
Jeff.
something? Is this something I should take a look at before we do it?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, not only you, but the Corps of Engineers has to give their blessings on it as well.
Is that in terms of the contract that we are entering right now, or are we talking about the addition of the barricade that I think we're a little bit ahead of the game on?
I don't need to see the contract. I want to see what we do before we actually do it.
Correct. I think we're a little ahead on the barricade.
Okay.
It may have to come back up as a modification to the original license.
But we're not at that point yet, correct?
Correct.
This is, I mean, for our purposes today, this is an extension in regarding the life rings and the maintenance of the pier as is, correct?
Correct.
Okay. With that being said, I would make a motion to approve the extension of this contract.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Move on to the next item, request for signage. David Hartz, 160 Turner Court, is requesting a no parking sign at the end of Turner Court due to his driveway being blocked. Mr. Hartz, I believe, is in attendance here. Good morning, Mr. Hartz.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Good, good. Tell us a little bit about, we are in receipt of your letter, but tell us just a little bit about the issues that you're having.
So we moved into Michigan City about a month and a half ago. We're at the end of Turner Court. I provided some photos, and Michigan City police officer was out at the house on Friday. Essentially, our driveway meets up to the end of Turner Court. And over the winter, when we had the first snow or the snow, there were a couple of cars parked at the end of the drive, preventing my wife and I from getting out of the drive. Also, when you look at it, it appears to be a hazard if we were to try to get a fire truck or an ambulance up there. And if there was a vehicle at the end of the street, they could not make the turn. So we feel that, number one, it's a hazard for us, especially if my wife has to go to the hospital, take call. And then also, if we were to have an emergency down the end of the street, emergency service vehicles would not be able to turn around. And we've seen that, like I said, in the wintertime. And then also we've had a couple of vehicles just park up there. Recently, I think they try and walk up and down the dune and so forth. So it's just become an inconvenience, but also it becomes an issue of trying to track down the owner of the vehicle to get them to move so we can exit. The street is not wide enough to have a vehicle and then also have us try and get out of our drive and onto the street to exit.
Okay. You mentioned that there was a police officer came out to look. Jeff, have you had a chance to take a look at this particular area?
I did not.
No? Okay. Chief Cooney, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, sir, I apologize.
No worries.
Our traffic commander, Captain Lineski, is not available today. He asked that I just inform you of the couple issues that he had as well. Regarding 160 Turner Court, he agrees with the assessment that there needs to be the no parking sign. And again, for the same reasons that Mr. Hart said was for the large vehicles, EMS, fire that would need to get through there. He's also recommending that there's installed a dead end sign at the base of the hill that hopefully would alleviate some of the issues as well.
Okay.
Andrew, could I add that
Sure,
there's not a cul-de-sac at this end. I'm very familiar with this road. There's not a cul-de-sac at this end. His drive pretty much comes off the end of this road, and it's a very steep drive to get down to his basement of his house where they park. There's hardly any room to turn around up there. We go up there when we're looking at Whisper Dunes. It actually looks down on Whisper Dunes. That's where the place where we're at, and the backside of Lake Kai. So I agree. It's kind of a cumbersome road, and I agree with Captain Lineski's assessment. I think both of those would be warranted there. No parking, and I was thinking of dead end road as well.
No, under these circumstances, I understand that Mr. Hartz and his wife. His wife is a doctor at the hospital, and when there are instances occur where she needs to get out, she needs to get out quick. I'm sitting here thinking of it from the summer perspective also, beyond snow, as people try and find creative places to park outside of the parking lot. I think that this is something we definitely need to take care of. And with everybody's agreement that these signs would be beneficial, I would make a motion to approve the installation of the said signs.
I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Mr. Hartz, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. Have a great week, everybody.
You too. Be safe.
Thank you. You as well.
We have another request for signage. Ian Osborne, 230 Walker Street, is requesting a stop sign at the intersection of Walker Street and Tryon Street, Tryon in the east-west direction, a speed limit sign on the south side of Walker Street, and a slow children playing sign near Walker Street for children's safety. I believe Mr. Osborne is in attendance. Good morning, Mr. Osborne.
Good morning. Can you see me?
We can see you. We can hear you, my friend. Tell us a little bit about the issues you're having.
Well, we put together a neighborhood signature page petition for the stop sign. Just a little bit briefly a background. I grew up on Walker Street, and my father grew up here, and my grandparents have owned a home here since the late 40s. And, I pretty much know everybody around here. So it was real easy to just kind of walk around and get everybody to sign on for the stop sign there. That's kind of our number one. The people typically use this back street from 8th Street coming up 8th Street from the casino there to, I guess, would be Vale or Poplar. And they use it as a back street to drink and drive and, and hot rod and do all kinds of fun little things because we pick up the trash over here. So, it gets pretty wild. I sent you guys some pictures of some scrapes on the, on the pavement. And I also used, for whatever it's worth, an app that, a radar gun app that, for whatever it's worth, may be accurate, maybe it isn't, to capture some speeds.
I don't think its accuracy is necessarily guaranteed, but the results that you have listed are very concerning. So yes.
Yeah, and the photos of the scrapes, you can see it. If you guys were out here, it's and I talked to, I guess it's Captain Lineski. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. He was real nice and mentioned that it's protocol to do a traffic study, and we understand that. While at the same time, it was pretty much unanimous for 3 blocks north to south, and 2 blocks, which is all there is from east to west. Everybody unanimously wants that stop sign, to say the least. There's also no speed limit sign on the street, and we've got a lot of new people circulating from Illinois in particular. But they love to throw their whiskey bottles and beer bottles out the window down this street, and hot rod it down here. It's a popular street to drink and drive on. So like I said, we grew up here. We know how it's going. If it's an issue of money, we're happy to pop for the sign. At least I would pop for it out of pocket personally. But there's 3 daycare facilities within 1 block of here. 1 on the backside on Hobart, 1 on Walker, and 1 on Holiday. So there's quite a few kids around here, and I have personally witnessed some kids almost get creamed out here last summer. We're trying to clean up the block. I now own 4 properties on this block, and we've been renovating some houses and kind of working together here. So we're outside a lot, and that's when I say we, I mean the neighbors and I. And so we spend a lot of time out here, and we're seeing what's going on, and it's wild. It's the Wild West over here. I mean, you guys know what's going on with the gunshots and stuff. This is pretty much the hot spot for Michigan City last year anyway. And we need to calm it down over here. A speed bump probably wouldn't be a good request, but it's wild.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely sounds like something that at the very minimum needs to be looked into. Chief Cooney, do you have any input from Mr. Linieski?
Yes, Captain Lineski advised that he would like this tabled until the first meeting in May. This will allow him to do his traffic study and collect that data and have it ready for you for the first week in May.
Okay.
If I could say something in response to that, anybody mind?
Yeah, no, feel free, Mr. Osborne.
Okay. With all due respect, and I totally understand that the traffic study is we all understand that the traffic study is probably protocol. With that said, regardless of what the traffic study produces in a short period of time, whether it's 1 car coming down this road at 55 miles an hour or, none during that study, with all due respect, we all live here. And like I said, we're happy to pop for that stop sign unless we can see some reason logistically, in terms of like maybe school buses or plows or something like that actually makes sense to block the stop sign at least, and a speed limit sign. I don't really see the point in the traffic study because of that. So like I said, we'll pay for it if money's the issue. It's unanimous. The only people that didn't sign that petition are some people that don't like to, push any buttons. They just want to cruise under the radar. But everybody signed it.
Let me ask this question real quick. I'm not sure if Jeff would be someone that could input on this. I understand the importance of taking the proper, going through the proper channels and doing everything that we need to do in the proper way. I know one tool that we use in various portions of the city is the radar I believe most recently I saw it on Franklin Street. Would there be any problems, or is there anything that potentially, if during this window of time that we've asked for the traffic study, perhaps putting something like that out there? Now, I suppose the argument that could be made against that is that it will alter the amount of, or the results of the study. But I think that ultimately what we're trying to do is change some behavior patterns and make people aware of what the speed limit is on that particular stretch of road. I'm trying to think of outside of the box. I understand Mr. Osborne's concerns that, if we table this until the first May meeting and during the next month something unfortunate happens, I think that I would kind of like to see a situation where maybe we did something that allowed us to both follow our proper procedures, but at the same time illustrated that we have that we want to take this seriously, and we want to be proactive in trying to create a solution to the problems that I think is pretty unanimous that most of the residents in the neighborhood are experiencing.
Well, I guess I'll weigh in. I don't see any reason not to put a stop sign. And I would caution against a traffic study, because if the numbers are true, based on the photos and the information that was provided, they could end up with a posted speed higher than what they want. So I guess my recommendation would be to post it with the stop sign as requested.
I like you, Jeff.
And then post the speed as a typical speed that we would have on any residential area inside the city.
Now, one of the things that I did notice is that really heading southeast, there is no sign that indicates what the speed limit is for this particular stretch of road. There is a 30-mile-per-hour sign on the north side of Walker Street, approximately in front of 322. Would there be any problem putting a 30-mile-per-hour speed limit sign up on the north side of the street, just to gently remind people what the speed limit is in that particular area?
I don't see any reason not to.
Okay.
Could I say one more thing?
Sure.
One of the folks who signed that petition was the late Rev Daniels and his wife. They've lived on that corner of Tryon and Hobart Alley. It's in between in between Walker and Hobart on Tryon, which is one house away from that corner intersection. Rev Daniels has supported that stop sign for years, and who is also an Officer Daniels, who is a good friend of mine. Like I said, we all grew up here. It's wild. People disregard that 30-mile-an-hour stop sign because they're literally bypassing Michigan Boulevard to drink and drive parallel to it. It's the perfect run from the wildest part of Eastport to 8th Street. It's a thoroughfare for drinking and driving because you can avoid the traffic and the officers that patrol Michigan Boulevard. Now, Captain Lineski also told me that they don't really patrol this street. And I can tell you, I see an officer here around this neighborhood maybe once a week. And I'm literally outside or within eye shot of outside all week. It's wild.
Okay.
Mr. President?
Yes, Mayor.
Yeah, if I may chime in, I think Mr. Osborne has said more than enough to justify this. Walker Street is an interesting street. I recall it wasn't that long ago that we were surprised as a city when NICTE informed us that they were going to close the boulevard at 11th Street to replace the crossing right there. And with blue chip being such a big part of our economy, we did what we could do to maintain the flow of traffic into blue chip. What we did was we routed the vehicles up Vale to Walker and down to blue chip. And it's a downhill run. And I believe this really justifies itself. It's an interesting street that does get traffic unannounced. We don't expect it, but there's traffic surges going down Walker. So I don't want to circumvent safety, but I think Mr. Wright, our engineer, has a good point that we get caught up in procedure, and we could post some signage that would have a negative effect rather than a positive effect. If nothing else, I think we could take some immediate action of temporary signage, maybe in the form of the traffic device that's on South Franklin that monitors your speed as you're going and lets you know with red and blue flashers that you're traveling in the wrong direction, going too fast.
One last.
I definitely. I'm sorry, sir.
I'm sorry. One last thing. Captain Lineski told me that the type of device that they would use on our street is a concealed device because people, A, they like to see those numbers jack up when they ride past them because they think it's funny, and B, they go slower when they see it. They slow down because they're scared. So Captain Lineski told me that the one that they're going to put in is a concealed device.
Okay. Well, that would be fine, but I think we need to have visible devices to let them know that they've got to stop, their children playing, and that they need to slow down. I agree that we don't want to postpone taking action, and during the postponement, something bad happens.
Mr. White?
Yes.
This is Tatanisha Clark George.
Good morning, Tatanisha.
Good morning, Howard. How's everyone?
Good.
My residential address is 517 Walker Street.
Okay.
I've lived in that residence for 20 years. And Mr. Osborne, in fact, my husband and I were having this conversation yesterday about the speed of the cars that go down Walker Street. From, Woodland Avenue to all the way to 8th Street. It's almost like a drag strip. You can tell, in fact, the change in weather by the speed that the cars go by, the increase of the speed of the cars. Yes. He's right there. There's no speed limit posted. There's a lack of stop signs. I think there's maybe only a couple, maybe at Walker and School, and then there's pretty much a free for all at Walker and School, Walker and Vale, and then pretty much a drag strip all the way down to 8th Street. So it does need additional stop signage. It also needs to have more signs posted about the speed limit. And I would really, really like to see a traffic study done on that street, because with this weather, you're definitely going to see people going up and down Walker at a very high rate, very high speed. We've had a number of new residents move into the neighborhood. They have small children, and sometimes they're not even considered of the kids playing outside. So Walker Street is an issue, and I was intending on approaching the subject myself. Thank you.
No, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, Tatanisha. Jeff, let me come back to you real quick. I believe, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're telling me that you would be in favor and would recommend placing at least a stop sign on this particular stretch as is right now?
At minimum, place the stop sign. And I don't see any reason not to post it at 30 miles an hour, whatever typical residential is. And there's always a question about children playing signs, of whether those are effective. So at minimum, the stop sign.
I believe.
I would go ahead and post it 30 miles an hour, and then we should check with Jeff, Lineski about whether the children playing signs are warranted.
We don't use the children at play signs. They're not recognized by the Uniform Control Manual and are a potential liability. So we don't generally grant any of those requests.
There's been some cases of along those lines with that particular sign.
I believe that potentially, especially in the case of the children playing, I do see a lot in terms of, items. I believe they're shaped like turtles, basically, that a lot of individuals take it upon themselves to put out in their own yards. I believe, Mr. Osborne, kind of where we're going with this is that we're completely on board with the stop sign, and we are on board and able to do the 30-mile-per-hour speed limit sign and post those and get those going as soon as we possibly can. I'm hearing that, you don't know whether that's going to be enough. I believe that like at this point right now, that's our first steps in this. We want to ultimately get to where you want to get, and we want to make sure that everybody is safe. And I think that, we are able to justify putting these signs in prior to the traffic study. But I'm also going to be encouraging the police department to, as they can, keep an eye on that particular stretch of road, because I believe, as Mayor Perry also indicated, it's an area that has been flying under the radar, and a lot of the behavior that you're seeing, it really does need to be addressed, and it's kind of a learned behavior. We have to figure out how to get people to slow down, and we want that to occur, and we want to make sure that we are doing it within the realm of how we are able to do things. So if we put that stop sign, that speed limit on there, do you believe that that's a good first step?
Yes, sir. And I just want to say thank you, because for real, like, to see somebody run and grab a little child out of the road last year during that time that Mayor Perry was speaking of, when they bypassed it, that surge in traffic, oh my goodness. I'm not even kidding you. It's crazy over here. Crazy. I've had people ride by and throw liquor bottles at me. I mean, it's a popular drinking and driving street. Thank you.
All right. Well, no, I mean, I appreciate it. I appreciate you bringing it to our attention. And again, Jeff, assuming that we're going to make this vote to install, Jeff, can you make communication with Mr. Osborne just so that we can determine the exact location of the signs and the timetable for when such signs will be installed?
Yeah, we'll get Shong, and we'll put the signs in per the standard where they're supposed to go.
Okay. All right. With that, I am going to make the motion to install a stop sign and a speed limit sign on Walker Street at the appropriate locations.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. President?
Yes, Mayor Perry.
I think we reacted a little too fast, because I would, Amber, please help me out here. I would amend that motion to include that we install a speed limit sign and a stop sign, and as a matter of record, that immediately after that, we pursue a traffic study. I think authorizing the traffic study needs to be a part of our legislative action right here.
Okay. Amber?
That's really your call. I would defer to police to see if you still need a traffic study after implementing those measures. I just don't know if it would still be wise or not.
It would tell us if the signs are effective or not.
Then absolutely, then if that's
okay.
The goal.
Thank you.
I would go ahead and add to my motion that we do recommend a traffic study after the installation of said signs.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. We have a motion, and Ms. Keating, do you still have the second? with that? Okay. Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, Mr. Osborne, thank you very much for your time this morning.
High five.
Have a great day. Be safe.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, request for open air market. Kathy Rogers, Black Book Drive, doing business as the Soul Market, New Buffalo, Michigan, is requesting approval for an open air market license each Thursday for a farmers artisan market beginning June 3rd, 2021 through September 2nd, 2021 from 3 to 8 p.m. to be held in the Marina parking lot. Ms. Rogers is with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President, Mr. Mayor, and Board. Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about what you're doing here, Kathy.
Of course. So first, my name is Kathy Rogers. I've been a resident of New Buffalo for over 26 years. My husband is born and raised from the area of 7 generations, including his mother-in-law or his mother, who is, again, from Michigan City. So I'm very familiar with the region. About 11 years ago, I started my company called Black Book Connection, primarily for events, mostly in the state of Michigan, for both New Buffalo, Three Oaks, Bridgman, and various other municipalities. I was the executive director of the New Buffalo Business Association with over 120 businesses that we represented. And we were primarily running events to create economic stimulus and community support. That includes Ship and Shore, Harvest and Wine Fest, beer festivals. And then about 6 years ago, I went to the board after talking to the then city manager, and we decided that we wanted to start a farmer's market. It took us a few years once we had the cityscape to be complete to finally bring it on to Main Street, and it was very successful. Last year with COVID, unfortunately, things changed significantly. We didn't feel that closing the Main Street for socially distanced made sense. And also there were some significant changes within the board of the organization, and therefore we just didn't necessarily see eye to eye on where the market was going. So I left. I have been looking for a new market. I have a significant amount of farmers and artisans that would like to have started another one with me. So I contacted the Marina, had a long conversation with Tim Frame, and came up with this plan. I did, I think, send a proposal. I don't know if everybody has a copy of it.
I believe we do, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. And as Drew had mentioned, so this would be the Marina parking lot. This is their new parking lot that has only one way in. And one of the things that we wanted to do was contain the market without any street closures. I don't know, many of you have probably attended, events or markets where, car traffic and people don't always necessarily mix very well. And so this made a significant amount of sense where we could just barricade out that front, the entrance to the parking lot, use the whole parking lot. Everybody is contained within it, including the vendors' cars. So we are not taking up additional parking, which is also prime at, in the height of the season. As this was mentioned, this would be on a Thursday. We would only stay within the summer months. So we'd start right after Memorial Day and finish right before Labor Day. The 3 to 8 p.m. is a little bit of a question at this point in time, and we'll talk about that. The makeup of the market is arts, crafts, foods, some produce, baked goods, and maybe a few mobile trucks. The space I have laid out, I can identify 80 spaces of 10 by 10 to allow for that many vendors, albeit we may not always be at that level. Just from a crowding standpoint, we'll probably start at around 60. Cost per space and the application I'm still working on, and we'll talk about that in a minute. We will have some live music, although again, it will not be loud. It'll just be an individual artist with a small amp. And then we're also looking at some kids and family activities. The reason for this market is to allow for stimulation and some movement within the north side of the marina, by Fish Camp, by the marina for the boaters, and then for the beach goers. This does not take away again from parking from the beach. This is also in conjunction with the music that I believe has just been approved by the Parks District for at the end of the Washington Park at 7:00 on Thursday evening. So that's a nice coinciding. So right now, obviously the conversation today is to discuss the actual market, what else might be needed for licensing, and then there are some next steps. I would like to set up a market committee that would include somebody from the city. Again, even though I physically own the market, I do want a makeup of people from the community and from the municipality and the marina to be part of this so that we have some say in it and what makes sense for the community. After that is working out some other things. I did meet with the the Port Authority last Monday, and they gave me a tentative yes based on this conversation today, or follow up with the Board of Works. I already have 34 to 40 vendors secured because I have these relationships without promising them anything. And of course not, no money has been given out at this point in time. And I've also secured 5 to 6 sponsors. So we do have a lot of support from the community. I know a lot of the business owners on Franklin that are very excited about this. Nicole Bissonette, who is the owner of Fish Camp, is completely in agreement with this. She's a friend of mine, and she really feels like this is a great opportunity to offer, her patrons, the boaters, people on that side of the marina, something to do on a Thursday evening. Okay. Sorry, I talked a lot.
No worries at all. No worries at all. That's what we're here for.
Yep.
Mayor or Ms. Keating, do either of you have any questions, concerns?
Mr. President, I will say that I think this is a marvelous venture. I think it's positive in every way. It's good for our boaters. It's enhances our lakefront. I think this is a marvelous, nothing but good. And I would take this opportunity not to jump in front of Ms. Keating, but I would make a motion to approve this, pending Ms. Keating's comments.
Okay, Ms. Keating.
Well, I'd just like to direct my comments to Amber and ask if she has any concerns or any input she'd like to make.
I did reach out to Park and Port because I wanted to make sure whose jurisdiction that parking lot was strictly under. Both departments responded that it is solely under the Port Authority's jurisdiction. So what I would recommend is if this board does approve this, one of the things, because we don't get a lot of open air market requests. So one of the things that this board needs to look at is to make sure that the location will not unreasonably burden the police and fire departments. So I'm not sure if police and fire have had the opportunity to look at this as well, because I haven't heard any mention of them yet. So I would hope that have some feedback just to make sure that they are aware of this and can plan if there is any type of emergency that would need to be accommodated. The other thing I would add is if this is granted, that the city as well as the Port Authority be named as an additional insured on the certificate of liability insurance.
And the city already is. I can make sure that the Port Authority is added to that. I apologize.
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Okay. I think I actually am along those lines as well, that I think that area over there that is still in a way being developed. And, we're coming out of a situation where basically we're reintroducing ourselves into hopefully our new normal. I do want to make sure that we are able to give police and fire a chance to take a look at this and make sure that everything can be done and done safely. What I would actually like to do, if it's possible, is to, Kathy, I'm guessing that you would want to come back in 2 weeks, but I would like to get some input from the police department and the fire department, make sure that they don't have any concerns. And I would actually like to follow up with the Parks Department and the Port Authority and just, kind of ask them, make sure that they have thought of everything in terms of how is this going to affect traffic patterns? Do we see, another thing I'm sitting here thinking outside the box is, when it comes to visitors to the market, are they going to be, I know that we said that they were not necessarily going to be utilizing beach parking for this, but what parking will they be utilizing? And I think that in order to park over in that area, generally people need to have a marina sticker in order to be able to park over in that area. And I'd kind of like to know what their plans are before we give the ultimate go ahead. I am fully in favor of this type of venture and I completely welcome it. There's a couple different items that I would like to be able to, like I said, hear from the police department, hear from the fire department, and hear from Parks and Port Authority, just to address a couple of issues that I might have. If that would be okay, if we could revisit this at the next meeting.
Of course.
I don't want to create any undue delay. I believe that basically I would probably have you proceed is that keep doing what you are doing in terms of laying the groundwork for this. But if it would be okay if we revisit this at the next meeting, and so we've had the opportunity to get that input that I think that we kind of need to have as a board for ultimate approval.
And
is that okay, Kathy?
Oh, it makes complete sense. And I apologize. I probably should have contacted both the fire and the police directly. And I'm more than happy. Again, you have the map that was presented. Again, that's completely contained within that parking lot with just the barricades at the bottom part of the parking lot. I'm more than happy to have that conversation with the police or the fire department if there's variances, if there is anything in particular that we need. I'm used to doing that again in New Buffalo, closing a main street, a main artery down. We've always had to have a variance that we could make sure that we could get equipment in if there was anything going on. So completely understand that.
Yeah, I want to make sure that the 2 weeks is not causing you undue burden in terms of if we are to approve it in 2 weeks, that everything will still be okay on your end to be able to have everything ready by, we still got several weeks here before showtime.
Right.
But if we can revisit this next week, I would greatly appreciate it. Okay. So I'm going to make a motion that we revisit this at our next meeting, which would be the April 19th meeting.
You want this on the pending list?
Amber, give me guidance here. What's our course of action here?
I would put it on the pending list, and then I would also in your motion make a motion to refer to Park, Port, Fire, and Police and ask that all 4 of those entities have a representative available at the next Board of Works meeting as well.
Okay. Hey, Gail, what Amber just said.
Okay.
Mr. President, as a point of order, I already had a motion on the table, and I will abide by the pleasure of the board. I could either amend my motion to make it contingent upon positive reports from police, fire, and the park department, or just withdraw my motion, whatever the pleasure of the board is.
Okay, we didn't get a second on it. I guess I would say the easiest would be to withdraw the motion.
I withdraw the motion.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor. I appreciate it, sir. All right, with that, we will make a motion to add it to the pending business to revisit at the April 19th meeting. I make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Kathy, thank you very much for coming this morning.
Thank you.
We'll see you in 2 weeks. I appreciate it.
In that meanwhile, I'm sorry, just last thing, I will make sure that I have the Port Authority on my insurance rider. So
Okay, very good.
I'll send that straight over to the clerk's office and that'll be completed.
Very good. Thank you, Kathy. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, we move on. Request for solicitation of quotes approval of quote package. David Cooney, Chief of Operations, MCPD, is requesting approval to solicit quotes for 2-year lease program for 10 2021 Dodge Chargers police pursuant package and approval of quote package. Chief Cooney is with us. Chief Cooney, what can you tell us?
Good morning again. David Cooney, with Chief of Operations with the Michigan City Police Department. For the past year or so, we've been looking for ways to restock our fleet and continue a fleet rotation at the most reasonable expense possible. Part of that is that our FOP President Samuelson had reached out to me and advised that LaPorte City Police Department has been doing a lease program for their unmarked vehicles for some time, and to them it's been a success. Fairly reasonable price for them. We are looking to do the same thing. What that will do is open up 10 vehicles that we currently own that are run by the detectives. They currently have 2019 Dodge Chargers. Those vehicles, if we are allowed to get the Charger leases, the vehicles we own will be distributed back into the patrol unit, which allows for better coverage for us. Our fleet is getting older very quickly, and that will help us out a lot, as well as with Cranston over at Central Maintenance as well with maintenance. We still will be responsible for oil changes over that 2-year period and any minor maintenance, but overall the major repairs will be covered under a warranty. We're looking to open up the solicitation of quotes so that we can move forward with the program.
Okay. Amber, it is April this month. Amber, do you have any input on this?
Mr. President, I helped Chief Cooney prepare all of the requests for quote documents. If the board does approve this, what the intention would be Chief Cooney would be sending this out to 3 vendors known to deal in this line of work. The vendors then would submit sealed quotes online via the specifications, and assuming we received some, our intent would be to open them at the next Board of Works meeting, April 19th.
Okay. Mayor Perry, Ms. Keating, do either of you have any questions, concerns, comments?
I have none.
I have a question, Mr. President. Looking through the documentation that's attached on page 2, new vehicle specifications, where it says section 2, paragraph C, the leased vehicles shall be completely assembled, painted, and ready for operation at time of delivery. Will these vehicles have already been fitted with the light systems and the various other systems that are standard equipment for law enforcement vehicles? Or is that an activity that will be done separately for additional monies?
Mayor Perry, that is additional to what we are requesting. That statement is regarding the actual vehicle itself. That is just stating that it will be ready for operation as a vehicle is. And then we have additional quotes that will be needed for the lighting systems that we'll need with the siren and basic lighting for the vehicles will be after that, after they're delivered.
Great. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Keating, you have nothing?
No, I'm satisfied.
Okay. All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to open bids for the acquisition of leased vehicles according to the specifications in the paperwork that we were given.
I'll support that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a support. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Chief Cooney, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good morning.
Be safe. Flagpole repair. Michael Cuss, the general manager of the sanitary district, is addressing the Board of Public Works and Safety regarding the cost to repair the flagpole located on US Highway 421 and I-94. I was driving this stretch not too long ago and noticed that we were down one flag. Mr. Cuss, I believe you're present?
Yes, I am. I talked with Amber, and she was going to discuss the fact that we didn't need Board of Works approval since this is below the small purchasing requirements or constitutes a small purchase. So maybe Amber could explain it better.
Okay.
That's correct. It's not a large purchase. It would qualify as a small purchase under our purchasing policy. Mr. Cuss did not need to ask for formal permission in front of this board. So I believe at this time he would just be withdrawing said request. But with the idea that he has received 3 quotes and under our small purchasing policy does intend to award the quote and issue a purchase order this week to get it repaired.
Very good. Very good. So we will go ahead and withdraw that. Do we have to make a motion on that?
No,
No.
Mr. Cuss is withdrawing the request on the agenda.
Very good. That's my kind of item. All right, we'll move on. Mr. Cuss, thank you very much.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mayor Perry.
I would like to make a comment on this item. There was a lot of discussion about it because this flagpole was in disrepair at the time that Officer Lasky was killed at Indiana State Prison. Our governor ordered the flags throughout the state to be lowered to half mast. And when we were unable to lower this, I looked, as did others, Mr. Shin, our Park Department Superintendent, others here in the administration, at these flagpoles, and they're a very unique design that I think we need to have in our minds for future reference for repair and purchase. These flagpoles have the raising and lowering mechanism, the lanyard, and all the shivs inside the flagpole. So they're very, very inaccessible as compared to a conventional flagpole where all of those hardware items are on the outside. Now, I can only guess that these were purchased with these features to prevent a member of the public from accessing this hardware and maybe lowering the flag or stealing the flag, because these are very big, very expensive flags. But I think the makeup of these flagpoles needs to be considered in the future, because they were both installed at the same date. So if one has gone down, we may see that the second one goes down in a very short time period. And to be more cost effective, I think we need to take a look at the systems that we have when we plan for future purchase and maintenance. Thank you.
Okay, Michael, The repairs that are needing to be made, I mean, do we foresee potentially this being an entirely new flagpole?
No, it will not be a new flagpole. First, I'd like to say that with respect to what the mayor was talking about the governor asking the flags be lowered to half-mast, when we went out there to lower them, the flag on the southeast corner would not lower. We tried and tried, and we couldn't get anything done with that. So the fire department helped out with their ladder truck, and Marcus Electric came out because they have had experience working on flagpoles before, and they went up there using the ladder truck from the fire department, and eventually they tried to replace the cable, but they couldn't replace the cable because they said there's a truck mechanism, which is like a pulley mechanism near the top, that they said was malfunctioned. Since that time, and talking to some people, a couple different companies that have experience with this type of repair, there may not even be a need to replace this, so many of these mechanisms, but when they get here on site to do that, they will know better at that time. As Amber explained, I did get 3 quotes for the parts, requested 3 quotes for the labor, but I only was able to receive 2. The company, Thomas Fleming out of Waukegan, Illinois, was by far the cheapest, and their technician kept me on the phone for a really long time explaining how all these mechanisms work and different pros and cons to making them last longer. So I think when they come out here to do the repair, we will have a better idea of whether or not the truck and the pulley mechanisms and so forth is actually really damaged, or if the cable just got hung up. And I think we'd be in a better position to really address the mayor's concerns, which, are valid concerns. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, I just, as you proceed with this, obviously you are able to operate on your own accord and free will in terms of fixing the flagpole that is out of operation right now. But if you would keep those concerns that Mayor Perry has raised, I mean, in the event that it does, they get out here and they look at it and there are unforeseen problems with it that, might cost more than it is. If you can just take into consideration or keep in mind that if it is something where the repairs that need to be made currently are something that could be done, if the other flagpole were to potentially need to be replaced at the same time, just keep in mind what Mayor Perry said, and let's see if we can maybe kill 2 birds with 1 stone if that is something that actually would help the situation out.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just to let you know, too, the quotes for the parts only, the 3 quotes were $1,163, $1,133, and $982. And then the labor, $500. And there's some travel expenses. So the low quote with the labor included was $1,577. There may be a need for some additional clasp rings, if I'm saying it correctly, that they did not quote, but they were like $76 a piece, I believe. We may need 1 or more of those. And then exactly what you're saying, that's the plan, is to, take a look at it and see, according to a couple of men I talked to that have over 40, 50 years experience with this, they seem to indicate that we may not even need all these parts. It may just be something that they could fix without changing the parts, but we'll have to see how that works. And as Mayor Perry explained, the cables do run back down the inside of the pole. There's a little box that you have to open up, and then you put a crank on there to crank it up and crank it down. But
very good. Yeah, just going forward, if you can look at it from also a long-term approach, and if there's anything we can do to help address the situation going forward, take the long-term approach for us. Okay. Thank you very much, Michael.
Sure.
All right, move on to our next item, physical fitness testing. The Michigan City Fire Department will be conducting the semi-annual spring physical fitness testing on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, beginning on Tuesday, April 6th through Wednesday, April 29th, 2021, between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. This is for informational purposes only. Next item, extension of physical fitness testing. Tia Free, Michigan City Fire Department is requesting an extension of time for her physical fitness testing due to being on restricted duties. I do not believe that Ms. Free is in attendance, but we are in receipt of a letter. Mayor Perry, Amber, do either of you have any further information beyond this letter regarding Ms. Free's situation?
No, I do not.
Mr. White, it's not uncommon to receive these kind of requests from fire or police if somebody is maybe off on some restricted duty. So I would just recommend making a motion to allow her additional time to complete this.
Okay. That being said, I will go ahead and make that motion to accommodate Ms. Free's request.
Support.
Motion and a support. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Easy enough. All right, we have correspondence from Jeff Wright, received in the clerk's office on March 22nd, 2021, regarding the 2022 surface candidate segments paving project. Jeff, tell us a little bit about this.
Just an update on the roads we're looking at, getting ready, preparing to submit for the next call for projects for the CCMG.
Okay. Mayor Perry, Ms. Keating, any questions regarding that?
I have none.
No.
I have none,
Okay.
Mr. President.
All right. Move on to another correspondence, also from Jeff Wright, also received in the clerk's office, this one on March 25th, regarding project updates with the city, the CCMG project. Any other words, Jeff, in regards to this?
No, I don't have any. I'm not sure that my project updates need to hit the Board of Works on the meeting, you know what I mean? Because they go out to the council and the Board of Works, but somehow they end up, it's kind of a redundant thing, but I get maybe that's just the procedures. So.
I believe they have to go on, but I will defer to Amber or Gail and are they necessary to go on to the agenda for the correspondence?
Well, I think if I had to guess, I think the clerk's office is assuming Mr. Wright wants it put on the agenda when he sends them the official correspondence. If that's incorrect, then maybe Mr. Wright can clarify that he does not need this to go on the official agenda.
I just copy everybody. I don't necessarily need them on the agenda. In fact, I send them to Gail and Dawn just because everybody wants to know, you know.
In our world of communication, I would actually say that that's probably that's best, Jeff. So, I mean, I appreciate your efforts in keeping everybody informed with your updates. I obviously take a look at them myself, and it answers a lot of questions for me. So, I do thank you for your correspondence. It's very well done, sir.
I don't want to not include Gail and Dawn, but if they're going to land on the Board of Works every time, then maybe it's better not, you know.
When we receive correspondence that's going to the council or the Board of Works, we put it as correspondence received to them. So we assume this is a good idea, so everyone is on the same page and of the updates is going on.
All right, very good.
Mr. President, I would support what Ms. Nylund says, that whether we have a lengthy discussion on it or not, if it's on the agenda it's not a bad thing because it shows that due diligence was done. We determine our paving program each year from something called the PACER plan, which is designed to maintain a good road program of that, and of maintenance and replacement, and the council is informed of each year of our intent. So the council has input, our city engineer has input, along with our city planner. So it just by the fact that it's being presented does show that the government is doing due diligence. Thank you.
Okay. Perhaps what we can do, so for the physical fitness testing that we put on here, potentially if we can put for informational purposes only after the correspondence from Mr. Wright, that way we can acknowledge that it was received, but it can also kind of give me a tip that it's just something that we can move on from. So if we can go ahead and do that, Gail, I think that would be the best compromise. Is that good?
Okay.
Rock on.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you.
All right, very good. Move on to claims docket for April 5th, 2021. Municipal claims in the amount of $1,633,479.90. Community development block grant monies of $30,756,095. Health Life, $747,128.54. Workers' Comp, $36,248.15. And 2011 refunding bonds operating in reserves in the amount of $1,200 for total claims of $2,448,813.54. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the claims docket. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. We move on. Payroll docket, March 26, 2021, city payroll of $532,813.38. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Mr. President, to pay the city payroll in the amount of $532,813.38.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Move on. Unfinished business. I believe we have one item on the pending list. James Taylor requesting roadway access on Huron Ave and also would like a streetlight installed. Mayor Perry had made a previous motion to amend this request and revisit the item on the first Board of Works meeting in April, which is Monday, April 5th, 2021, which is today. Mayor Perry, do you have any information on this item?
No, sir, Mr. President, I do not have any additional information.
Okay. Jeff, are you familiar with this particular request? It was first brought to us prior to my coming onto the board.
They were supposed to contact us about what it specifically they wanted. And I think the reason it was postponed, the number of weeks and the number of meetings, was to allow them enough time to get in touch with sanitary water and myself to work up some kind of a plan. But since that time, there has been no contact made to, as far as I know, to me and the sanitary district. I can't speak for the water, but I guess, so the answer is I don't have anything to add. And if you were looking for a suggestion, I would say maybe we take it off the agenda.
Okay. Gail?
How about if the clerk's office sends them a letter telling them that we will be removing it maybe at the next meeting if none of the entities receive anything from them?
Okay. I mean, I believe that would be the best game plan to let them know that I believe the ball has been in their court and they haven't done the necessary follow-up, but if we can go ahead and send that letter and give them a little bit of a reminder that we're still here. And I would actually say let's go ahead and leave it on the unfinished business. I would say probably let's go ahead and say we'll revisit this the first meeting of May, but that'll give them enough chance to receive the letter, and if they choose to pursue the information that we've asked for, then they can go ahead and do that. And then the first meeting in May, if we still haven't heard from Mr. Taylor, then we will remove it from the list. That would be my motion.
I think that's a great motion, Mr. President. I'll second that. And thank you, Ms. Nyland, for your suggestion of writing the letter.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we move on. Public comment. Public comment. Do we have anybody present from the public that would like to address the board? I do not hear anyone, so we will go ahead and close public comment. Does anyone from the board have any comment?
None for me, Mr. President.
Okay.
None.
Okay. One quick thing that I want to make a quick statement about. Those that are Facebook savvy and spend a lot of time on Facebook know that there is an initiative going on right now in Michigan City. It's called the Great Green Clean. It is a group of individuals throughout the community that have spent a lot of hours and a lot of personal resources to pick up litter in various portions of the city. They have done all of this on their own, and they've also taken the time to reach out to planning and inspection, I believe, has actually helped them out. We've had a couple businesses that have some issues with litter coming from their properties, and I believe that Christine and Skylar and Sue have helped this organization or a group of individuals address some of the businesses to address what really is a big problem in our town. But I believe this drive was started about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I believe it was only planning on lasting maybe 1 or 2 weeks around the St. Patrick's Day holiday. But just as someone that drives around town, the efforts that this group has made is truly noticeable. There are areas of this town that a lot of garbage has accumulated over the years, and just getting out there. And this is one of those things where a lot of times you can sit here and complain about the fact that there is garbage out there, or you can actually do something about it. And all of these individuals have done something about it, and I applaud their efforts. I actually went out yesterday on Easter and went to an area that I thought needed some attention, and I was very heartened. There were individuals that did a quick beep to acknowledge that I was out there, and I also had one young lady that I'm going to keep anonymous, but stopped and thanked me for doing what I was doing and asked if I was doing it to get credit for hours of community service for National Honor Society. So I was very, very appreciative of the 25 years worth of age knocked off of me, but I really appreciated that. And going forward, I would actually, Nora Riska is the individual that is, I believe, the person in charge. If I'm missing anybody or not mentioning somebody, my apologies, but I really do want to kind of make a call to action that if there's anything that we as a community can do to help these individuals, we have individuals that are donating their own time and manpower. If the city can do anything, I did briefly discuss it with Skylar, and he said that there have been initiatives at previous stops that he's made in terms of, maybe getting a dumpster that can be dedicated to where people can put the garbage. So we don't have individuals putting garbage in private entities' dumpsters and taking up space that they aren't wanting to give. But I think that there's probably ways that we can try and find some synergy between this group and the city to help make Michigan City a little bit better place. But I want to applaud their efforts and say if we can find a way to have the city help them out, I would really like to make that happen. And with that, if there's no other concerns, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Support?
All right, we have a motion to adjourn and a support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a great day, everybody.
Have a good day, everyone.